Today on Locked On Red Wings, the show must go on as the Detroit Red Wings re-sign Patrick Kane to a one-year deal with incentives. They also re-sign Berggren and Johansson, as well as trade Tarasenko and get nothing in return. And we're happy about that.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I got to say, Scotty, I think we were very smart the way we did it this year around this time. Last year, the day before free agency fell on a Sunday, and I had hockey. So we recorded like usual early in the day. And then I'm away from home from hockey around this time, around 8:30. We're recording on Monday here. The news broke that Patrick Kane re-signed. And so we had to come home. I had to come home, and we had to re-record the whole episode. This season, same deal, but we were like, let's wait. Because we have a feeling he's going to re-sign, and by feeling, all the reports indicated he would re-sign, but for whatever reason, it was taking forever. We were very wise. And I'm glad we waited until now 8:48 p.m. to record our episode so we wouldn't then have to record again after it actually happened. So we're going to get this on the first take for once.
Right. So now I'll tell the truth. Brian got forced to go grocery shopping with his wife immediately after work. And that's the only reason why we waited long.
That's
and
not
now
the
he's trying to
only
play
reason.
it off as like, look, you worked out so well. He literally just got forced to go to Costco, and I know it was Costco because my roommate saw him. And
Oh, really?
That yet?
That's awesome. I did not know that your roommate saw me. That's cool. Should have said
Well,
hi.
he was leaving, and I was going in. I wasn't gonna like sprint and like race him down, but like I'm pretty sure I just saw Brian at Costco.
That's also, by the way, we were both telling half truths.
Correct. Yeah.
It is, in all honesty, is both. Initially, it was like, hey, dude, I got to go to Costco later. Can we like push recording back? And then halfway through, I was like, why don't we just wait? Because we know Kane is going to sign, and we don't want to have to do this all over again. And so we decided we were going to wait till 9 o'clock at the latest because we both have work the next day, so we had to do it. So in reality, we were both telling half the truth. Combine those two, and you get the full truth. Anyways, 2.5 minutes in, Patrick Kane is still a Red Wing, and he's a Red Wing for at least one more season. He signs a one-year deal with an annual salary of $3 million, which is insane because Evolving Hockey projected that contract to the dime.
Yeah.
He has another $4 million in incentives he could earn. Like last season, he has bonus incentives. It's a lot. But combined, it could afford him $1 million more total than it did last year. Because last year was what? Base 4 with $2 million in bonuses. This season, it is $3 million with $4 million in bonuses. And Chris Johnson actually, as I hit record, announced those stipulations. It's $2.5 million for 10 games played, so he's gonna get that. It's another $250,000 for 30 and 50 games played, $500,000 for reaching the playoffs, $250,000 for round 1 win, and $250,000 for a round 2 win. So we want all of those to hit. Like, that is the goal. Is Patrick Kane makes $7 million. What's nice about performance bonuses, Scotty, right, as we learned last year, is they can be charged as overages to next year's salary cap. Right. And it does not hurt the cap right now. So as of right now, Patrick Kane's cap hit is $3 million, which affords the Red Wings more flexibility when free agency opens tomorrow and they get to fight over the scraps that remain.
Yeah. Last year, by the way, I just pulled it up and did the math just so we were sure. $4 million with, I believe, 2.5.
So $500,000 more possible.
Yeah, so 4 with 2.5 total. So yeah, I think that I'm totally fine with this. $3 million is really, all things considered, not a big cap hit at all. I think both sides kind of understand where his value lies at this point in his career. Like he's not a guy that's going to play defense. You don't want him deployed in the Red Wing zone, but he's a guy that's going to be extremely effective and productive on the power play, and obviously you hope is going to continue to be productive in at 5-on-5 at even strength when deployed in the offensive zone. So I think that there is obviously value to be had. There's a lot of value to be had. He's still Patrick Kane, but I also appreciate that even after the year he had, which was pretty, solid, relatively speaking, and was about what we expected out of him, he base salary wise did not get a raise. Like he's making less money on base salary. So I think, I think it's realistic, both sides kind of understanding where his lies and kind of the point he's at in his career.
Well, and everything you said is it is very on point. I mean, we're not disillusioned about what Patrick Kane is at this point in his career. He is primarily a power play quarterback. He's an excellent one at that because of Patrick Kane's hockey IQ and his puck handling ability. The Red Wings have had one of the best power plays in the league last year. He is still going to provide that because what's great about being on the power play, you set up, you don't got to move your feet too much. It's when he moves his feet that, his age begins to show. But he still has that wonderful chemistry with Alex DeBrincat. You presume, right? We're presuming he's going to play with Marco Kasper as their center, who's going to be a center who can, play with pace, get to the boards, get the puck to feed Patrick Kane, who's coming in late to finish those plays, or set up Alex DeBrincat. So we know that, yes, ideally Patrick Kane's probably not in a top 6 role on most playoff teams at this point in his career. But with the Red Wings, with the chemistry that he has, and playing with a young Marco Kasper, we saw last season that it can be a very effective line when given offensive deployments, and I expect to probably see something similar this season. So I would expect to see more of the same out of Patrick Kane. If he can pot you 20 goals and get you 50 to 60 points, I think it's an easy win for this contract. It carries a $3 million base salary. It's going to be $5.5 million or $4.5. How much was that first bonus? Was it $1.5 million, $2.5?
Last year's was $4. Was
the first bonus? It's $2.5 million.
It was $2.5 total, and it was $4 at base. Yeah.
So it'll likely be at least a $5.5 million contract. But I mean, it's going to be fine value. It's fine value. It gives the Red Wings flexibility going forward in the rest of the summer as they try to cobble together a better roster through what remains for free agency, what we'll talk about later in segment 3, as well as maybe target some guys via trade. So yeah, overall, I'm happy they retained Kane. I'm annoyed that it took till like the end of the day before free agency for the second year in a row, but they got it done, and he remains a Red Wing, and that the Red Wings are better for it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the biggest thing with him coming back is as you mentioned, and as we're all very well aware, is just hopefully to bring continued stability onto the power play, right? Like the Wings need a complete overhaul penalty kill wise. They need to get a lot better at 5-on-5. It is worth $3 million plus incentives to make sure that the really good power play stays really good.
Yes. Scotty, let's head to a break. When we return, we will cover the Vladimir Tarasenko trade, as that was honestly probably the most exciting news from the day. But how do you not lead off with Showtime sticking around for another year? So we'll talk about that in segment 2 of Locked On Red Wings. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Totally said .com there. My favorite subdomain. Scotty, Vladimir Tarasenko was dealt to the Minnesota Wild for future considerations. Normally, when you talk about giving up a player for nothing, there is not that much to be excited about, but we're pretty excited about this deal. Why is that?
Because they offloaded the money. Like, future considerations could be a bag of peanuts, and like that's. I'm really like that. That's not to disrespect Vlad or anything. Honestly, I hope that he figures it out and starts producing like we know that he can, and like he has his whole career over in Minnesota. But from the Red Wings perspective, they needed to find a way to clear up cap space and not have to give up assets to do so. And they found somebody to do that with. They found a team where the Wings didn't have to attach any draft picks and they didn't have to retain any salary, and they could get rid of Vlad. And that is a massive win. It was a massive disappointment of a Red Wings tenure, unfortunately, and they clear up over $4 million this offseason to hopefully add some more pieces.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed with how his Detroit Red Wings tenure went, because I remember how excited we were when they signed him. Obviously, we knew Tarasenko wasn't the guy he used to be when they did sign him, but he was coming off a season where he scored 25 goals and won the Stanley Cup. So we thought there was at least 0.5 Vladimir Tarasenko left of his prime, and it did not happen, and it clearly did not work out. I'm glad they were able to deal him, and like you said, the biggest thing was being able to find a trade partner where you did not retain and you did not have to add a sweetener is honestly baffling to me. And like, we can talk about the Minnesota perspective. I don't know what Minnesota's perspective here is. I've read a couple of reports. They're slotting him in their top 6, and I do hope he rebounds, because I do think there's still more left in the tank than what we had here in Detroit for that 1 year. But the idea that Vladimir Tarasenko, who here in Detroit was given top 6 opportunities, especially around the trade deadline where they were shopping him the first time and couldn't do anything with it, is going to be in their top 6. And granted, it is a better team than Detroit, right? That is a playoff caliber team, but I'm not going to complain. So I don't understand it. It's eating up their cap space. They took it all. They didn't take any draft picks from us. It's just Yzerman was able to erase a mistake for free. And that for almost $5 million was then used to sign the 3 players they signed today.
Yeah.
A little over that was used to sign those 3 players they signed today. So almost a net zero in cap movement in today on Monday, June 30th, because he was able to offload Tarasenko with no retention and not attach a single pick. I mean, I did in my wish list the other day, right, Scotty? I said I could see him going to a team like Chicago, who's trying to climb up, might take a flyer on a guy who might have some left still in the tank, as well as has the cap space to take the full cap hit if you give him like a draft pick as well as a thank you for taking his contract. Minnesota is not a team that's rebuilding. Minnesota is a team that's trying to win in their window. Minnesota has some cap space. I don't think they're cap strapped by any means, but like, they absolutely should have gotten a sweetener on this contract, and they didn't. I don't know what Minnesota's mindset. This is not Locked On Wild. Check out Seth Topol. He does a great job over with Locked On Wild. I am really curious to hear his perspective on this.
Too. He's been there.
It is OG, man. I am really curious to hear what his thoughts on this are, because I don't make much sense of it. It doesn't make much sense to me. So, but I am more than happy to have Tarasenko off the books to give us more money to either take a swing at somebody through free agency or acquire somebody via trade that needs an extension, maybe a Keandre Miller, perchance, because there's been a lot of rumors circulating about that, but that's another story.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a massive win for the Detroit Red Wings. That is kind of, I think that kind of goes almost without saying. And I think that it hopefully is a sign of things to come on Tuesday and throughout the week.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but then everything happened about 5 o'clock on Monday, and now the already thin free agent market is even thinner. But we'll talk about that in a moment. We'll probably talk about that in segment 3. There are a couple other signings the Red Wings made, smaller impact signings, but still notable nonetheless. They re-signed Albert Johansson to a 2-year deal for just over $1 million. I think that's what, 1.125 per season for Albert Johansson. A nice little bridge deal for the kid coming off his rookie season. He'll at the end of that deal, he'd be arbitration eligible, still an RFA. And I mean, yeah, he was a surprise player this offseason, getting a 2-year deal, allowing him to have a couple years to grow before getting hopefully another contract with the Red Wings. It's a nice little contract, and it didn't cost too much. I'm happy with it.
I'm thrilled with it, man. Yeah, I mean, you talk about a guy that is a bottom 4 defenseman, like solidified somewhere in your bottom 4 on the blue line. That's that's kind of the market value for those caliber of players, especially at his age. So like, I have no issue with it. I like it a lot, and I mean, heck, if he keeps trending in the direction he did last year, maybe it even ends up being a bargain.
Yeah, I think it will probably end up being a bargain, even if he just is if he becomes a really good third pair defenseman, 1.125 is a good contract to be on. Like, those are guys who sign those types of contracts. Like, third pairing defensemen now go for more than that. Like, for instance, Justin Hull, whatever Perbix is going to get, which is going to be just shy of $3 million. So getting him at 1.125, where he was already used as in second pair role, which long term, I don't think he is going to be a second pair defenseman, but he was used in that role this season. To get him at 1.125 for 2 more years, I mean, that's just more tidy work to retain the RFA that way. Jonathan Berggren was re-signed too. This one shocked me a little. 1-year deal, not shocking that part, but the value was $1.875 million, almost a $2 million deal for 1 season for Jonathan Berggren. I thought that was kind of a surprising amount of money for a guy who really underwhelmed us this season, right, Scotty? This last year, he had just 24 points in 75 games, 12 goals, played bottom 6 minutes, played power play 2, but didn't really provide a lot. Just it's still shy of $2 million. It's not so much money that I'm gonna throw a fit, but I was just a little surprised to see that. But at the end of the day, I'm like, it's still it's fine. It's a 1-year deal.
Yeah, it's whatever. I honestly, I feel as though this is the type of deal that still very much could get moved at some point this summer. That's kind of how I viewed it. Not that that's a guarantee. It's very far from that. It might just roll into, the season with him as their fourth line, hopefully depth scoring option. We'll see what happens. But it really wouldn't shock me if he was slapped onto a deal here over the next couple of weeks too.
Yes. But as for now, he is here. And we're going to have 1 more year of Jonathan Berggren if that does not happen, and I think that is fine. I had a couple people ask me, why did we re-sign Jonathan Berggren? And I was like, because he's an RFA, so you usually just re-sign. He is an NHL caliber RFA. That is what it is. You can re-sign him for cheap, and that's what they did. He's going to play in a bottom 6 role. He's making bottom 6 money. It was a little bit more expensive than I thought it was going to be, but again, not by $500,000. I'm not going to freak out over it. It's fine. I hope that he has a good season and he proves us all wrong, because the best way to be proven wrong when you are a podcaster is being proven wrong in a way that makes you happy. So let's hope that Berggren can do that. The other one that did not happen that's notable is Soderblom. As of recording this at 9:05, Scotty, he has not yet signed. He also did not receive a qualifying offer as far as we are aware, which was due by 5 o'clock. So I'm assuming a contract is coming down the pipeline at some point. I mean, it has to be. It's an RFA. But usually, I believe, and somebody in comments correct me if I'm wrong, but if you send somebody a qualifying offer, usually that precedes arbitration, and he is arbitration eligible. So to me, not receiving a qualifying offer indicates that they're working towards a contract extension that does not require arbitration. But yes,
well, yeah,
that's my thought.
Right. I mean, obviously, if it's if you can lock them up for multiple years, then you kind of just remove the arbitration process. I think, I mean, to me, I agree with you. And I think, honestly, best case scenario is they get them on decent money for multiple years. And you just go, you know what, this guy's going to be a fixture in our bottom 6. And I mean, I saw enough from him this year to be confident in that. And if he continues blossoming into more than, bottom 6, then it's a win for you. But I think the size and the intangibles that he brings to your bottom 6 are valuable enough where
yes,
at a baseline, you can give him a couple of years and give him, bottom 6 forward money, and you can be happy with it and not worry about it too much.
Well, here is what NHL.com says about a qualifying offer, just for clarification. By issuing the offers, teams are given the right of first refusal or draft choice compensation should the player sign an offer sheet with another team. So basically, by signing somebody to a qualifying offer, if somebody offer sheets them, you have then the first ability to either counter that or take the draft picks. So basically, it's actually more about offer sheeting than anything. Now, why they didn't qualify Elmer Soderblom, that makes me more curious. I'll have to look more into it because I am not sure.
Yeah.
Again, maybe they're close to a deal.
Right.
But, all right, we're going to do another break. When we return, Scotty, let's talk about all the other chaos that happened about 5 o'clock on Monday. So stay tuned to segment 3 of Locked on Red Wings. Segment 3, Locked on Red Wings podcast. All right. So, as you can see there on the show sheet, it says Ekblad staying in Florida. And that's because I initially made this earlier in the day, around the time that happened. And I thought, that's crazy, man. That's one last guy on the market. And then about 5 o'clock, pretty much everyone else got taken off the market too. And remember when Steve Yzerman said, I'm not too optimistic about free agency? Well, now I understand why. Because nobody made it to free agency.
Yeah, man. I want like a federal investigation on the Florida Panthers. I think that's what I want. I want this to be at the government level. I want.
Can we do Vegas while we're at it too?
I want someone important to look into this, okay? Because it is mind-boggling to me that they kept all three of those guys. I am floored. And Marchand was what, a 6-year deal when it was all said and done? Like,
yeah, 37-year-old signed to a 6-year deal.
Right. Like, what the it's I don't know, man. I want some government official looking into their front office, because I had somebody reply to one of my tweets today and was like, and they said Florida might win 5 cups in a row, and I'm like, yeah, man, like maybe I don't know anymore. You might be right. That is wild, and that's again, like, we're talking about how crazy that is. That's even before the whole Marner saga,
right? So. Well, and just my thoughts on the Florida thing, really quick. So Ekblad took maybe $3 million fewer a year than he could have gotten on the open market. $6.1 million over the course of 8 years. Now, granted, you could only get 7 years. The math doesn't line. Regardless, he could have gotten like $9 million on the open market. He took 6.1. Marchand could have gotten $8 million on the open market. He took 5.25. Sam Bennett could have gotten like $10 million on the open market with how his season ended. He took 8. Like, each of these guys, and like, you joke about a federal investigation, it's just winning. Like, and like, there's the whole, does state taxes have an effect or not? I'm not sure how much it might play a little role, but I think it's more so about the fact that this team is a winner. It's a close-knit group. They all have, they play that identity, and they all just want to keep playing together and win as many cups as possible. So winning, plus, I mean, being in Florida compared to being like in Alberta, right? You talk about the weather and the environment, it's definitely way more appealing. Like, winning makes people want to take cheap deals. It just does. And we are in a really crappy position where we haven't won a lot. We've been, not to go all woe is me, but we've been screwed by the lottery. Like, it's hard to convince people to come here, especially when they don't even make it to the time of year where you can do that. And that's just what they all did. They all stayed before free agency hit. Marner is another one where it's just, there was the rumors about tampering, right? Toronto was supposedly going to make a complaint about Vegas tampering as early as last year. They basically held a gun to Vegas's head. It's like, you will trade for his rights, give us a player back, or we will be filing tampering against you. Yep. So, great work by Toronto. They didn't lose him for nothing. They got Nick Roy in return. But that still also helps Vegas because they got the contract off their books to help re-sign Marner. You were mad about Florida. I'm more mad about Vegas. And like, part of me is, you find these loopholes to skirt the rules to make your team good. On one hand, I think that's just good business. Like, you're taking advantage of these loopholes that exist. Like the whole LTIR thing. Pietrangelo is going on LTIR now for the rest of his goddamn life. Yep. To free up $8.5 million a year. And I think his injuries are legit, but it's crazy how every year they find somebody who just needs to spend the entire season off to free up that cap space. And like, that's why they're closing the LTIR loophole, but it's just insane that it drives me nuts because they continually find star talent to acquire and put on their team. They always pull it off. And it's weird because I hate it, but I also admire their ability to continually do it. But I hate it because we're over here like that meme where it's like, may I have more soup, sir? Like, just anything, dude. Anything.
May I have another? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. What a day. Was that contract 8x12?
Yep. 8x12.
Yeah. 8x12 for Marner. I texted you earlier. I'd have done it in a heartbeat. Obviously, the Wings. That was
I'd have done 8x14.
Yeah. That was never an option for the Wings. They were never in on that. But
well, that's exactly it. Like, I can't even be mad at Yzerman for missing out on guys they never had a chance at. Like,
we
Dobson
didn't get
never
blackmailed. That was it.
Right.
we didn't have anything. We didn't have any dirt on it.
Allegedly.
Right. Oh yeah.
It's just insane. Like, you get blackmailed, and it's like, oh no, I'm getting blackmailed into getting Mitch Marner. Like, oh, insane stuff, man. The NHL's a riot. Gotta love this league. So, anyways, by the time you're listening to this, it'll officially be July 1st. The free agency is opening at noon. I think at midnight when this airs, teams can begin to negotiate. I think there's a negotiating window, and then signing can start at July 1st, which is why on July at noon you see like 30 signings immediately because those contracts were already agreed upon. There's basically Gavrikov, Bester, and Ehlers left because Provorov signed a ridiculous contract. I'm glad we dodged that. They gave him more Sider money, and I think he's better than his underlying metrics. I think he is a top 4 defenseman. I don't think he's that good. He's not more at Sider good.
Yeah,
but everyone else is off the market. So it turns out Steve was right again, and the best way to make this team better is going to be through trade. Because I don't see the Red Wings being able to land Ehlers.
Well, I mean, we've already heard some rumors about that, and hopefully they're true, and hopefully the Wings are aggressive in the trade market. Because I think they, not to be dramatic, but like they kind of have to be. Because if they're not, then the team's just not going to get it better. So
I think Steve understands that this team needs to get better. I know he's going to prioritize being patient and not overextending himself, but I think he knows that this team has to get better players this offseason. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, there's the rumors surrounding Keandre Miller. If they get Keandre Miller, I think he'd immediately slot in, be your second pairing left side D, and that'd make you better at 3 spots because that would allow you the luxury of putting Edvinsson with Sider, making your top pair better, and push Sherratt down to your third pair, make your third pair better. So that one trade would make you better at 3 roster positions, but then there's still the hole to fill in your top 6. So maybe growth from within. I don't know. It's an important offseason for Steve Yzerman, and I'm really... I was excited for free agency. Now I'm nervous. Now I'm like, oh God, how is this? What's going to happen, man?
Oh, now that it's here, you're...
No, I'm nervous because everyone's gone already.
These arms are heavy, dude.
I didn't have any spaghetti today, though.
All right.
I had a calzone, actually. Did your roommate, by chance, see me walking around Costco holding a calzone with 2 hands and eating while my wife pushed the shopping cart?
That is just an insane sentence. I have no clue. Dude, I don't know. We can ask him if you want. I don't know.
Well, I would have waited and eaten first, and then we would have gone shopping. But it was when I ordered the calzone, they were out, so we had to wait 10 minutes. So we were like, just when it came out, we were like, let's just go and shop. And she's like, I'll push the cart. You just eat the calzone while we're shopping. So I'm just walking around Costco with a calzone in 2 hands, just eating it. It's a good calzone. They have really good calzones at Costco. I highly recommend. You calzone guy? How do you feel about calzones, Scotty?
I'm pro calzone.
You're pro calzone?
I'm not sure I'm pro walking around Costco grocery shopping with a calzone.
While your wife pushes the shopping cart.
Right. It's yeah.
I was living large this evening, man. I was living large. It's good stuff. Had a little sample of lemonade they had. It was good stuff.
Wow, man. Look at you.
So any final thoughts?
We ball.
We do, Paul. We'll be back with an episode tomorrow recapping day 1 of NHL free agency. Stay tuned for that. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.